you're well. So today I'm talking about legacy. Now, probably the first thing about legacy is something you're left in a will. And yes, that can be the case. And it can be wonderful. However, what I'm talking about today is legacy as in the impact you make on the world. What will you be remembered for? And the first thing is you don't have to die in order to create a legacy. You might well find you've already created one and not even realize. And I'm going to come on and tell you a story about that in a minute. And the other thing that might happen, the first thing your ego kicks in and says, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to create a legacy? You're just trying to get through the day and actually undermine the fact that the impact you're actually making. So I'm going to unpick a little bit about what a legacy is and how you can create it. So it's all about, as I say, the impact you want to make, what you want to be remembered for. And how do you make it? So there are lots of things that have an impact on that. So the first thing is ask yourself the question, what am I passionate about? What just fills me with energy? What is the difference I would like to make on the world? And to start with, I'll share a story with you because you might, as I say, think that what right have I to create a legacy? Now, when I was in the army, I spent 25 years in the army as a nurse and a midwife, latterly in research, hence I've got a PhD in resilience. And when I was told at school, not good enough for university, so be a nurse. Having said that, I absolutely love my nursing and then my midwifery and being in healthcare. So it was a great choice for me. As I was told not good enough for university, an opportunity came up for me when I was 38 years old to do a degree. And I thought, oh, well, I'll give it a go, see what happens. Because I've always had the philosophy to create every opportunity. And if there isn't one, just find it. So I grabbed the opportunity. Much to my shock, I achieved a first-class degree in 9 months. Then I was invited to do my master's, which I thought, whoa, that's extraordinary. I'm not even meant to have a degree. That was a fluke. And I got a master's. And then 2 months into my modules, I was doing pretty okay. And my supervisor said to me, Lizzie, I think forget about your master's, go to do a PhD. And I thought, what? That's crazy for someone who was told not to go to university. However, at the time, nurses were not permitted or funded to do PhDs. Doctors were, nurses weren't. That absolutely triggered my sense of justice core value. And I thought, right, this has got to change. I'm going to put up a case that nurses must do PhD, reputational risk, and because they deserve it, and actually you could discriminatory. So I put up a case, and much to my shock, it was approved. And I thought, right, well, if there's going to be a few nurses or a nurse funded, we had 3 places, then that will be the one. So I was one, and how blessed was I to do that? And then I created, worked in research for a bit. 10 years later, a nurse, when I left the army, we already started about 5 years before that, finding that we could secure funding for a nurse a year to do a PhD. Now, I was so excited. Nurses were now doing PhDs. I had the privilege to supervise them. So it became a routine thing for the nurses that wanted it to submit to apply to a PhD. So it wasn't until my dining out or my last dinner in the army that somebody came up to me and thanked me for the legacy I'd created. My immediate reaction was, what? Legacy? That's a bit big. I'm just doing what I do. And then he said to me, no, you don't realize the legacy you've created, that nurses can routinely do PhDs, whereas before they weren't even permitted to even apply. I thought, wow, I have made a difference. And all I was doing then was because I was doing it because I was passionate about it. I felt it was wrong they weren't funded. I felt nurses deserved to have the best chance possible. I was passionate they were to succeed. And so that is what I was amazed when somebody saw as a legacy. So you might well find you have already created a legacy and not even know that you have done so. So back to how you create it. So the first thing about that was I was absolutely passionate about it. I had a vision of nurses completing PhDs and just being routinely accepted to do so. So that was my vision. So setting the vision. I also knew I couldn't do this by myself. So there was a group of us, there's other people that were really vested in this as well. So yes, you have to work together in collaboration. And I wanted to make a contribution. I was passionate this was going to happen. So that's also a big factor, is having a contribution, making a contribution. And Ikigai, which I've talked about before, is all about being in line with your values, but it's what you want to do, what you love to do, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you get paid for. Now, the pay for was a completely different situation because I was paid in the army anyway. I didn't have to do this. So that's sort of out of the equation. However, it was absolutely what I wanted to do. It's what I love to do, supporting students. I love supporting people to help them be the best they can be. Now I support leaders to help them be the most confident, resilient leader they can be, to show up with impact and influence. Research is a great way to show up with impact and influence. So that ticked all those boxes that I hadn't even realised as part of a legacy. So have a think about identifying your own strengths. What do you love to do? What is your passion? It might be absolutely nothing to do with work. And that's another key. It's what excites you. You can create a legacy by coaching a football team on a Sunday morning. It's not to do with work necessarily, but of course it can be to do with work. The other thing about legacy, it is making it bigger than us. This is not about us. It's the impact you want to make. And, you know, David Attenborough has left an extraordinary legacy about how we treat the planet. Now, he is absolutely passionate about the planet and what we can do to save it. I don't believe, and I've never had the privilege to meeting David Attenborough, but he's been doing that for most of his life, even for a boy. So he had this passion for it. He didn't go to expect to be world domination in this arena. He just wanted to make a difference. So what difference are you making right now? What difference do you want to make? What difference do you want to be remembered for? What is your thing that you actually want to have a massive impact in? And that's how you can create a legacy, and own it and be proud of it and really acknowledge the impact you're making, because that's great for your confidence, great from your resilience. So ask yourself this one question: what do I want to be remembered for? And what impact do I want to make on the world? Then go out and do it. And I'm delighted to have further conversations about this, because own all that you're achieving. Own your awesomeness, own your resilience and your confidence that you can get through no matter what, no matter how tough it feels at the time. So that's my 8 minutes for this week. If you want to know more, please DM me. I'll put my link in the chat, and actually how you can have a conversation with me. And if you see here is my resilience, takes 2 minutes to complete, just to find out how resilient you are, and I can give some tips personally to you. And the reason I'm doing this session is that the majority of people that complete my scorecard, the leaders that do it, don't know what their legacy is and maybe haven't even thought about it. So let's get thinking, let's make impact, and let's do it. And have a great week. Okay, bye-bye.